How do you honor someone who has dedicated their entire life to serving, educating, mentoring, provoking, uplifting, and inspiring others? What award or reward do you give to someone who is so far above any monetary gift or token of appreciation? Fellow educators know that you don't go into teaching to get rich. And yet this is how this next recipient feels, rich with love, knowledge, friendship, and hope for the next generation and our future leaders. I met Thom Determan when I was a high school student. I was in a global issues class, a class that Thom started to turn the focus of students from themselves and toward a more expanded global view. We were encouraged to step outside of ourselves and see the world completely removed from our own selfishness, yet with the mentality that we can make an impact on a larger scale. Later, during my student teaching experience, I had the privilege of working with Thom and his wife Katie in an extracurricular activity called Young Citizens Forum, which is still going today. Here we coached young people to research and address issues facing local, federal, and international governments. If you know Thom, you know that he's super intelligent, super down to earth, and really sound-minded. So he could have taken these skills and talents of his and done just about anything with his life. But instead, he chose to be a great father, a great world citizen, and an amazing educator and mentor. And even while facing tremendous life challenges and his own mortality, he hasn't stopped. He's just picked up the momentum. Thom recently established the Thomas Determan Global Education Endowment through the Community Foundation of Greater Dubuque. This program is geared specifically toward training leaders and propelling students and teachers toward global thinking, acting, and leading. After all these years, Thom is still seeking visionaries and paradigm shifters and wants to provide resources to those brave enough to pursue endeavors which result in global impact. Those social transformers, diverse thinkers, and leaders who will infuse global perspectives into their circle of influence, projecting global as the new normal. Check out the website. It'll be on the screen in just a moment. It's tdglobal.org. Jot it down, remember it, and pass it on. Thom has been a great friend at 365, and probably many of you. He's been with 365 since its inception as a mentor and friend, and he helped these guys create an organization that works to make the world a better place, starting right here in Dubuque. Bryce said that he would have nominated Thom for this award this year, but he didn't have to. In fact, no person or organization received more nominations than Thom did this year. How's that for global impact? Thom likes to quote Gandhi, saying, "Be the change that you seek in the world." Thom, with his kind eyes, encouraging tone, timeless wisdom, and provocative conversation, has lived out the essence of this quote. I am thrilled, honored, and privileged to present the 2014 Award for Individual Impact to Thom Determan.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to start with a story about Bryce, because Bryce and I once worked together at the schools. And I remember the day that Bryce came to me and said, I'm going to leave the school. I'm going to start something brand new. And I wish you could have seen the zeal and the zest in Bryce's eyes that day. And now it's turned into this wonderful publication and wonderful courier of all the things that are good and positive and vibrant about Dubuque. And once again, I'd like to have you give Bryce a round of applause. I looked up the word impact again today, and I realized it really is about marking a path or a trail somewhere sometimes it's unexplored, and that its purpose is to make a difference in people's lives. And I know that all the people in front of me tonight have done that. I hope I've done that in a slightly, maybe slightly different, but hopefully long-term way to make an impact upon just a wonderful city that I think I've contributed to a little bit anyway. In that regard, I have to tell my family, first of all, and they're sitting over here, my wonderful wife, Katie, my beautiful daughters, Emily and Laura, and my steady, solid son, Ben, that they've made a big impact on me. And that impact has rippled down to other people. Thank you very much. So we all make that impact, and my award is actually a misnomer, because in my case, it's an individual with a whole lot of help from your friends award. Because over the years, I'll give you 3 quick snapshots. When I was 5, I lived about 3 houses from my grandma. And because my grandma made such great donuts and pastry, I was always sneaking over there from house. And my grandma is the one who instilled a love of learning in me. And to this day, I credit my grandma for helping me make the decision at 8th grade that I wanted to be a teacher. And from that point on, it was fast forward to the point where I came to Dubuque for the first time in 1970, and a fellow named Don Moody decided to take a chance on a green kid from Clinton and hired me. And a couple years later, my world turned around when I got a chance to go to a workshop. And the workshop was called Global Education. And I came out of there a different person. I came out of there a different teacher. And I think since that point in time, it's been just a wonderful, wonderful ride with students. And over the years, through the formal classroom and the informal activity of just being with kids, I wondered why they paid me, because it was so much fun. So I spent 22 years at Hempstead and made some wonderful friends, some of whom are probably here tonight. In fact, my first students are now collecting Social Security at 62, which is kind of freaky. So we were the classroom was our car, our spaceship around the world. And we had a lot of fun. We raised a lot of questions. We got directions from each other. We gave advice to each other. And we tried to explore what the heck is going on in the world. And it was part-time answering the questions, but more importantly, questioning the answers. And so I spent 22 years there, and then got the privilege of teaching other teachers about multicultural education and global education and all the things that were just wonderful to think about. I only hope more adults wouldn't say, oh, social studies, that wasn't my favorite. And sometimes we did damage to our own discipline. But anyway, after 35 years, I got into a medical situation where I didn't feel I could formally be an educator, but I decided I can informally be an educator. And that's what Keisha so kindly was talking about. We've established an endowment to do 2 things. Originally, scholarships for students, and we're going to be giving those out in May of 2014 to all the tri-state schools. We know we have applications in, and we're now ready to grade those student scholarship applications. So that'll be my next big mile marker, is to hand out checks to kids. We're interested in going to school and focusing on whatever field you go into is global. Think about how many times this week you've heard about the global perspective on this issue or that issue or this topic or this event. So we know the time is right to do our second thing, which is to teach teachers through a global education institute that we're going to be starting up in the fall. And hopefully every school in the tri-states will have every faculty member able to say, I'm transforming what I teach, not new stuff necessarily, but I'm making it more cross-cultural and more global, so it adds value to the students' education, and they can take that and use it for a lifetime. So that's why we have an endowment. And I have some wonderful people here tonight that I know are part of that. And if you'd raise your hand if you're part of our endowment team, I'd sure appreciate it, because they're here. That new Dubuque that's going to thrive and make people's lives better. And I'll leave you with this. Global is the new normal in school and for life. Thank you.